A small Cambridge inn called the White Horse. The Reformation came.
Restless is raw, unscripted, reformed radio.
Oh boy, Pastor Michael, it's me.
You're back. Guess who's back again.
That's right. Yeah, as many of you know, we had our fifth born. What a joy Owen is, and an addition to our family. Thank you if you prayed for us while we were in the hospital. Man, life is good. Pastor Michael tells me a lot of you out here have had a lot of feelings, had some things that have made you upset at different times throughout
the world has ended.
Yep.
Come back. The political order has been upended and then returned so many times since you've been gone.
Yeah, and no one has any jobs anymore. And so I don't know.
Jobs are gone. AI has won. It's all over.
And you're all out here blackpilling when the Iowa State Cyclones beat Houston last night as of this recording. And so that's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. But Pastor Michael, it is so good to be back and to celebrate the backness of the show. Next week, Thursday, you can hang out with us on a chill stream. We're just going to chill out and talk about, saving the PCA, talk about if female deacons are the future. And so we might have some friends come hang out with us and talk about these things. I can tell you, Pastor Michael, I have registered as for the General Assembly.
All right.
And so, guys, I know I've said for the last 2 years and not done this, that I'll be there. But guys, I'm going to be there. And I'm going to ride, I think, with Pastor Michael down.
The plan, I have a vehicle reserved to drive us to the General Assembly. I'll be on overture. So this is the PCA's General Assembly. If you're going to be there, let us know, and we can for sure start planning some way to connect.
Yeah, and if you're going there early, well, I'm not doing overture stuff. If you want to come hang out with me, Matt's gonna have a lot of time. I'm gonna be partying. Are you
on a committee yet?
For our presbytery, I am not for the General Assembly.
For the General Assembly. All right. We'll talk to our moderator about it.
Woo, we'll see. But Pastor Michael, what you wanted to bring us back with, this is a topic. This is actually for me very important because it touches on a few things, right? Pastor Michael, I believe cessationism and the understanding of these things is important, and I believe it's the future. I also think this touches on the non-denominational charismatic world. At what point do we start saying this is no longer part of the visible church? And so one of the many things that happened while I was away was Mike Winger released how long was this video, Pastor Michael?
The big one that went everywhere was almost 6 hours long.
Wow. And so did you watch the whole thing?
Oh, I watched the whole thing. Well,
perfect.
I listened to it while I was driving, so I didn't watch every second of it, but listened through it while I was driving.
So Pastor Michael, you brought up what I think is a very interesting angle on this, but will you just summarize for us what the point, what the coverage of this of his video was?
So the Mike Winger has done actually a lot of videos exposing and showing various well-known, big-name, charismatic leaders exposing them for both fraud in terms of, making things up, false miracles, those sorts of things, as well as, and with that false teaching, by the way, as well as then actual abuse of people, physical or sexual abuse, and then the cover up that comes with that. So he's been on a tirade for a while, trying to go after cover up culture, especially in the charismatic world. A video that he put out that really kind of went viral in many ways was a video that dealt with a man named Shawn Bolz, who I actually had not heard of. I didn't know anything about him until this video, but was, very connected within the charismatic world. And that ended up getting, it's a 6-hour video and it got 1.5 million views.
Wow.
So that's a pretty shocking number of people that have watched that much, however it is that YouTube actually counts how much you've watched and views and stuff. But a lot of people have seen this, and it is a giant video that brings all the receipts of how this guy was a false prophet, right? So he was making up fake prophecies about things, how that led to very destructive things in people's lives. And then on top of all of that, how he was also a sexual fiend. And all of this has been covered up by, or was covered up by in various ways, pretty much every major leader in the charismatic world. All very well connected, and they definitely covered this up. And so I want to talk with you some about that. We did a little bit of conversation about it on the Patreon while you were gone. But even more than that, I think this video, and by the way, he's been continuing to go. He had another video drop about Todd White. If you know Todd White at all, boy, do I have thoughts about Todd White forever. And they, I was right, by the way. The things I thought about Todd White the moment I saw him, I was completely vindicated. Mike Winger video.
Yep.
But what I really want to talk about in the midst of these videos coming out where Mike Winger is exposing this stuff, and from a perspective, by the way, of as somebody who is not a cessationist, thinks that there's probably more legitimacy in this movement than we would. And so he's coming at it really soft, honestly. And not, I shouldn't say soft because that makes it sound like he's doing a bad job. He's crushing it. He's exposing a ton of really nasty stuff. Great job, Mike Winger. This isn't me saying he's doing a bad job, right? Soft has become like a purely negative term. I just mean he's handling it in a way that I couldn't, right? I would be so upset. I'd be so angry the whole time as he's going through it. He's actually a lot more careful than I probably would be. And so he's not out here doing this for the clicks and the views. He literally demonetized the Shawn Bolz video just so that wouldn't be a critique like, oh, he's just making tons of money. Because he would have, by the way, 1.5 million views on a 6-hour video. He would have made a bunch of money. Took it off so that he's not, he's got different things where he's offering to pay for certain things that, reconciliation and things like that amongst some of these people. So there's a lot of good ways that he's handling it. But he also is coming at it from a different perspective than us. And what I really want to talk with you about is stepping back and saying, can actually the charismatic world survive the current media landscape? Like, can it survive the internet? Can it survive smartphones and the rapid sharing of information?
Right. So tell me why you're asking this, because I think that there's obviously something you're keying off that he's paying attention to in his critique of Shawn Bolz and others.
So in the past, you could have situations where somebody, if you go back to like the Azusa Street revival and the early Pentecostalism, this is, we're talking about the time of newspapers. Right. Like early newspapers, like that's how you get all your information. Maybe you have some radio early on, but it's really early. A lot of the early Pentecostal movement was spread by, more so word of mouth with some stories that would headline newspapers and things like that. And then it would be traveling preachers of various kinds. For a long time, you could have somebody in this system that is obviously false, obviously faking it. If you watch the video, Shawn Bolz doesn't do anything novel. He does the classic, like, trickster. Hey, I'm seeing like God's showing me like it's like the TV psychic. Like God's showing me like Raspberry Lane. Oh, you live on Raspberry Lane? Somebody here lives on there? What? No way. That's crazy. I didn't know that. God knew it, but I didn't know it. What it turns out, by the way, he was just getting all of his stuff on Facebook. And just other online.
No, you're telling. No, it couldn't.
This is such a funny part of the video that Mike Winger does, where he shows like Shawn Bolz had this big like moment where it was like his prophetic ministry really like shifted and took off. And it just happened to exactly coincide with when Facebook became searchable. So when people would sign up for things, he could search them. He could find out more. Anyway, like so obviously fake. And all the big names, Bethel in Redding, California, all these people, they knew it. They saw it. They all knew, just like they all knew about Mike Bickle and his both, his sex abuse and all of his, false prophecies and all these things, right? They always have. And by the way, I'm speaking as somebody who was, not deep in these movements, but when I was taking the faith seriously for the first time, I was very much surrounded by the people in this world, deep in this world, right? Mike Bickle was the greatest man alive. Todd White later on, this was well after I was out of it, but definitely became popular. A lot of these, Bethel, Redding, like those guys out there were like the greatest thing that ever happened, right? You're going to their events. I've been with a lot of people that are supposedly prophets. And so I'm speaking as somebody who kind of went through that, but I'm thinking that increasingly, even since I was in those things, you now have a situation where every single person that you talk to has a phone, has a camera, has recording device. And a lot of these tricks, right? Calling out, oh, how could he know that, right? How could they know these things? A lot of those tricks worked when it took more work to find out those things. In our world, it doesn't take work. It's pretty easy to find out lots of information about somebody. In the past, you could claim, hey, there was a glory cloud and gold dust came down on us, without there having been every individual in the room has a camera of the different angles where people will then be able to put together, oh, you were putting stuff in your vents. Right. So increasingly, and you have, when they claim, hey, we rose someone from the dead. Hey, we watched a guy's arm grow back. Well, in the past, you could go on the stump and share that story. Hey, I have this prophetic anointed ministry. I watched a man's arm grow back and heal. I've heard that story, the exact same story, by the way, from a lot of charismatic preachers and prophets and anointed evangelists, like in person, heard it from a lot of people. Nobody has video of that one, by the way. But you could say that, but then when everybody is being recorded and put online and it becomes easy to search what's online, it's not like hidden behind, you have to want to go to the person's website and want to go in and find the right video. When it becomes easier to search these things, all of a sudden you start to realize, oh, every time they tell that story, it's a little bit different. Hey, they shifted a lot of details about that story. Hey, this other guy is sharing a story from the exact same event, and all the details are different, right? They both say they were there and saw this miracle, but what they're sharing is totally different. Even when I was first being exposed to the kind of the fakeness of the charismatic world that I was in at the time, it was something that you had to do a lot of work going to find the right YouTube videos and going to find right. YouTube is something that's come along since we've been around, right? We remember when there was no YouTube.
Yeah.
But like I had to go out of my way and look for this stuff and search for it. And now it's all just right there. And so my contention, and I would like to hear your thoughts about it, is Charismania will not make it long. I don't know how long, right? I think it can last longer than, what's the classic Charlie Munger quote about investing where, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent.
Right. Yep.
It's similar in this regard, right? I think the charismatics can keep going much longer than than I would think they could when all of this is so obvious now. But given the nature of social media, I can't imagine they last much longer.
Yeah. I think this is a fascinating thing, because I do think it's true. I think where we're at is where, right, just like with almost anything, right, to use another example, what is the persuasive thing that communicates authenticity? Is it a really well-crafted 5 minutes thing? Is it a really is it this is it a just a well-done thing in that way, a really carefully written speech? Again, maybe there's a place for those, but no, it's, can you talk about that for 2 hours with Joe Rogan? That is what is considered. And perspectives that cannot survive that kind of sunlight will not be trusted anymore.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily everything's a good. That doesn't mean necessarily everything about the previous ways were bad, and this is all good now. But that is what is going to happen. And it is it just is obvious that these things are not going to do well in this environment. I think. Now, what's interesting is it's going to force a number of issues, right? Which come back to theology. And I assume maybe at some point Mike Winger starts asking, when are we going to start calling something prophecy or a prophet? Don't we have to ask that question? Or with miracles, because again, what we get at is if I press on someone, here's a biblical definition of prophecy, the person starts to say, well, I don't mean prophet like that, or well, it's a miracle, but you have to believe, you have to have faith that it was a miracle, right? Which contra Jesus, for example, all of his miracles being called signs. I believe for the signs themselves. I'm supposed to, and so, and even when someone, and this is maybe I'll make this brief point about our views about cessationism, is why you're already a cessationist.
Yeah.
The question becomes, do you have any biblical leg to stand on for your understanding of a prophet now? The moment someone tells you, well, I don't mean a prophet like Amos. Of course, I don't mean they could write books of the Bible. I mean, it's they're doing their best to encourage people as God leads them, right? Now, again, there are obvious, the problem.
I don't mean deacon like deacon.
Yeah. The problem with the other problem for the charismatic movement is that it's put itself in a corner where it literally has no guardrails for people like this. These monstrous people who literally are not well-meaning at all. Just like Pastor Michael, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're listening in the sound of my voice and you don't know this, no one in the Bethel movement has your best interests at heart.
Yep.
They are not good people. They are the people Jude talks about.
Yep.
They are bad people.
Yep.
They are false.
Even the nicest version, which is something that Mike Winger would give, is, hey, false teachers are thought of as they are deceiving. They're also being deceived.
Yes.
Hey, they've maybe bought into their own lies. They've maybe bought into their own whatever. That doesn't make them better, right? It means they are blind guides. You cannot trust these people at all.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact, go watch the Mike Winger videos. We know for an absolute fact, no matter how much they apologize, that these people have accepted what they know to be lies and called it prophecies of God. We know for a fact that these people have platformed people that they've rehabbed because they're known sexual abusers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what we're talking about here. These are truly wicked people. Whether they're well-meaning or not, it doesn't matter. And so this is the thing too. They've not just painted themselves into a corner where it's like there's no way, like there is no policing, there's no guardrails. They've also kind of worked themselves into a corner in the sense that because they're all fake, because they're all making up prophecies, right? Because they're all doing that, they cannot call someone else out, right? They never could. They couldn't say, hey, that guy's like, he's making that up. Why? Because they're all making it up, right? Because they're all like, it's all just at best, at absolute best, they're convincing you that just a thought that occurred to them is the voice of God.
Yes.
And the vast majority of the time, it's literally they're making this up to try to manipulate you and how you feel.
And think about that. If what they're saying, and I think a lot of them believe, thoughts that occur to them come with the stamp of approval as the Holy Spirit.
Yep. So what happens if you're alone in a room with them and
that
their thought is
yes, that this is what I mean when that is a dangerous person to be with. That is a dangerous person to have in spiritual leadership. And here's the problem. It makes you immune to the kind of discernment Mike Winger is doing.
Yeah.
You literally can't do it because, well, who are you to say? What are all good defenses are gone.
Yeah.
And so this is why it is indeed dangerous. I think it will change. I think it's so. But again, right, this is why we must have a standard for what is prophecy, what are miracles, all of these kinds of things. We start to build on it. And so it is very interesting because the other thing that we know is true, the AOG church, which certainly has problems that we disagree with, isn't the hyper abusive form of charismaticism that Bethel is, right? That a lot of these groups are. Again, I think some of their foundations are going to constantly put them in danger of the same things, unfortunately.
Yep.
But we know they're one of the few churches growing in the country, because here is the thing we have to figure out. People really want a supernatural, like people, I want it explained to them. They want to understand. They know they have experiences that are supernatural.
Yeah.
And at least for them, these people go, yeah, you do. And then they create a plausible framework. And it's even, again, charismaticism is so influential on evangelicalism right now. It is hard to convince an evangelical to stop saying God told me to do something.
Yeah.
Even when they in no sense mean the same thing the Bethel false prophets do at the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. They mean like, wow, I saw this person and this very obvious biblical command came to my mind that I should follow, and I saw God work. Right? I shared the gospel with my neighbor, and I can't believe the results. We prayed, and answers came. And the only language they have are from charismatics.
Right.
So if I tell them, well, no, I'm not a charismatic. I don't believe God speaks to you the way he spoke to the prophets, all these things. What I've actually unfortunately done is I've destroyed their only conception of the faith.
Yeah, no, it is hard, right? It's a difficult conundrum. And one of the dangerous things about all of this is so many have tied their understanding of God and of the word to these people and what they've said. And so what happens is when they're shown to be false, or when they take you aside and they start telling you how, God has prophesied that we're going to get married, and so it's okay for us to fool around. And then that's obviously just abuse. What happens is a lot of these people end up walking away from the faith.
Yeah.
Right. Because or at least for a time, they walk away from the faith because this was what they thought was real. These people quote the Bible. They talk about Jesus, right?
Yep.
So how can this not be what all Christianity is like, right?
Yeah.
It's then associated with that.
But
that's the good of sunlight. That's the good of everybody having a phone and being able to show, hey, here's what's going on, to record the backroom meetings where all of this is being covered up. That's good, actually, because it will, hopefully by God's grace, keep a lot of people from experiencing the same thing, right? These people are very good at convincing you. I don't get it personally, right? The whole aesthetic, you watch their sermons, you watch the services. I don't get it. I have a natural like skeptic in me. And so that never appealed to me in the same way. I was into it in a way, but I always was asking questions, and that was not okay. So it never really appealed to me, but the reality is that it's evidently really popular. Whatever they're doing is convincing. It is interesting. It is intriguing to a lot of people. And so the more sunlight that can come, the more, exposing that can be done, where these things are being used in Christ's name to abuse people, to mislead them, to, convince them of things that simply are not true. That's good. That's right. I want it. And I do think it cannot make it much longer. Again, much longer in the course of history might be longer than I want it to.
Right.
But I do pray that, what we have will lead to the end of this stuff.
We're only 100 years into this charismatic.
It's new. Yeah.
This little Anabaptist moment. And so, yeah, how long can it do? And part of it is we have to begin. Again, please at least be willing to go as far as Mike Winger and say, at least these examples are outside of the visible church, right? We have to that is part of our duty in the church, is to be like, the evangelicals who first experienced people coming from these charismatic renewals, they were saying no. And we need to learn to say no. And obviously it became complicated because the charismatic movement was tied up in probably what was a real revival with the Jesus people and all, like the Calvary Chapel people who aren't this, and so it's complicated, right? So, but I'm just saying, we've had 100 years with you guys, Bethel, all of your predecessors and people coming after you. We've had 100 years, and now we're ready to just say no. It is. You aren't here. You aren't part of the church. There is no room for you. We won't be singing Arius's songs. Thank you. We are done. And put it on film, baby. Just put it all on film. Jesus Christ said, declare from the rooftops, right? Do not allow things to be done in darkness. We do things in the light, even when it costs us personally. And we actually even aren't facing persecution. There is no reason we can't do these things in the light of day. And any Christian movement that is inherently afraid to do things in front of others, on the record, my teaching, Pastor Michael's teaching, this podcast, who knows what we've said, is all a matter of public record, right? That's how it's supposed to be. And certainly miracles have to be held to that standard. Certainly, if you're going to claim those kinds of things, it has to be held, I'm
telling you, the guy, his arm grew back, but secretly.
Like his foot, his leg lengthened. Everyone's leg lengthened. Really, how do you know? Like,
those ones are on video, man. Those ones are all public.
I know. Dude, it's we should do a subtopic someday on the miracle everyone has seen, a leg lengthening. And like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, you can be amazed by that until it's like, wait, everyone I know
Right.
has seen a leg lengthened. And
hey, I've got this heart condition. Oh, well, I actually think you might have a back issue. Let me.
Everyone I know had their leg lengthened. None of them knew beforehand that their legs were not the same length.
How have I never noticed that I'm always walking with this huge limp?
Yeah. Again, and here's the deal, man. If these people beat us, they are not sending their best.
Yeah.
As you're saying, like the aesthetic. Look at Todd White, man. Look at him. The thing that like maybe these people have on us, if there's anything you can learn from them, they do go to needy people, which is what makes this also sad.
Yep.
They go to people.
Jim Jones, by the way. I'm not comparing them in the sense that they're the exact same, but this is what made Jim Jones and the People's Temple so popular and made it stick so much with people. What led them to do extreme things in that guy's name was that he was actually there helping them, befriending them, loving them, caring for them when no one else would.
Yeah. And so these people show up in trailer parks. These people show up in Trump voters. These people show up to people who are afraid of what public schools are teaching. These people show up to people who are afraid for their future and struggle with chronic pain. Okay? And nothing they deliver is real help. Right? Even the like placebo hope they give, we can actually give the exact same thing, preaching biblical hope to them.
Yeah.
Because they get nothing from these false prophets and false miracle workers. No, we cannot promise. We can't overpromise like they can. And yes, there sadly will always be people whose carnal minds will choose these kinds of lies, choose what their ears want to hear, choose people who promise them wealth and access to knowledge no one else has. But we should be going there. This is another thing I've been thinking about, how in our Reformed world, we probably need a lot more generalists and a lot less specialists, like a lot less of experts on like Vodius or like these people, like and a lot more generalists. By the way, I love you specialists. You guys are like, I think you're great. No one in my town knows anything about what you're saying when you talk. But Pastor Michael, is this a worthy return of Restless?
I hope so, because it's what we have. I hope you love it. 5 stars.
This is the best we have. This is the best we have. Well,
we're just coming back. We're going to be talking AI. We talked on the Patreon about Nicki Minaj, our Christian princess.
That's right.
We'll probably have some good interviews coming up. We've got other ideas. I want to talk to you about Martin Lloyd-Jones, Preachers and Preaching, and some of the thoughts that he gives, even just in his preface to the book about preaching. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
A classic book that I haven't read. It probably should have been on my read this year list.
It is the book that I would ever recommend for preaching. As I've been working with many men, trying to help train others up for the ministry, and I've been trying to, in some sense, condense. Hey, what's the best resource on this topic? Well, on preaching, it is this book, no doubt, hands down.
You should have told me that before. Reformation Heritage Books put on sale every single volume of William Perkins' full collected works for $12 a volume, and I was like, maybe once in a lifetime. So I
so you got that instead. But no more books this year.
Yep. So
we're back, everybody. We're back, everyone.
Get on your winter arc. Join us next time. And Chill stream next Thursday night. Get excited. We are February, I think it's the 27th. We will create a link. Chill stream. Join us.